podcast.
We don't have a name.
We are creative casters.
It's a work in progress. That's the name of the CCA. But we don't have to.
That's
Our
the
name is still a
CCA.
work in progress.
Isn't that new for the group?
Yeah. Group name is still a work in progress, but let's get this clap in. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We have Skylar back again.
Hello.
Wow, and we have our dearest specialist guest. Form 5 students are interviewing our very own Form Year head. Yes, head of year. There we go. Mr. McVeigh. Woo.
A mixture of all of those things, yeah.
Exactly.
Of course.
Obviously, we have to start off with a very nice question. How have you been lately?
Been doing okay. 2023 has not been a great start to the year. I've had my wisdom teeth out.
Oh.
I've got
Nice.
glasses recently. My eyes have just decided to stop working.
Like Mr. Ho.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like once you hit a certain age, everything just stops working. Like it's
Downhill.
all gone downhill. I'm obviously a new dad, so that's
Yeah.
has a lot of issues.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And then I
Jesus, baby.
had to go back to the UK for a family matter, so it was just the start of, so it's only March 7th, so the start of 2023 has been chaotic. But I'm doing okay, yeah, catching up
Yes,
slowly.
let's fingers crossed things get better
How are you all?
for all of us.
More importantly.
Tests. I don't know about these.
Tests.
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 Everyone has tests.
Yeah, but the way of life, the way of school.
The way of school.
You know,
yeah,
it's-
you've already gone through it.
You've already heard our podcast about the IB, so
Yeah.
Make sure to check it out if you haven't.
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Well, obviously we've talked about school, but I think school is too much of an overdone topic. So let's talk about outside school. Let's talk about our outside school life.
I like the sound of that.
Do you have any hobbies? Because obviously I know you're in charge of the tennis CCA, and you've told us tales of your childhood playing tennis and football.
So they're pretty much my two main hobbies. Tennis and football, I still try to play weekly. Not quite as
Sunday league.
Sunday league, exactly, yeah. Not quite as easy as it once was. I was once a big reader before I started falling asleep at like 9:45.
That's fair.
So it's changed a little bit. I've started kind of getting into trying to write again. So I used to be quite a keen writer in university, and I've started writing again with the idea I might one day like to publish a novel. Obviously, it's much harder than I once thought at 21 years old. I was like, I can easily do this. Give me a month, but it's.
I want to talk to Mr. Samwell. He's written several books apparently.
Oh really? What about?
He's currently writing one about his life, which
He did
which I
one on
found.
Kenya as well.
Yeah, and what
The
about
country.
Kenya? So
Are they published?
yeah.
Oh wow, that's
But
amazing.
I don't know if it's under his name.
Okay.
It might be under a pseudonym. But
Is there anything like specific like motivating you to write, or you just want to? You just want to do it.
I'm probably not going to articulate this particularly well, but I just like the way that sometimes words can fall into place.
yeah.
And when I write, sometimes it's almost so. For example, Skylar's talked about math before, and I guess numbers make sense to you, right?
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. Anything STEM related terrifies me. I'm awful with numbers, but sometimes if I'm in a certain mood or I'm in the groove, I really like trying to piece together language to create whatever it may be, a piece of writing, and I find it quite rewarding. And I've kind of recently got that back a little bit after my mid-20s, just finding other more important things to do, as you can imagine. I've got a bit more time on my hand now. So yeah, that's the main reason. And I think, yeah, just that it's getting towards the time in my life where I kind of want to try something a bit more challenging. I've been quite comfortable for a while, so yeah.
Nice
Step
to
out.
push yourself out of your comfort zone. You know?
What have you done to push yourself out of your comfort zone? You're all agreeing with what I'm saying, but what have you all done to push yourselves out of your comfort zones?
I got out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
More power to you, Franz. More power to you.
I mean, I write sometimes, yeah. I like creative writing, it's enjoyable, but I don't like sharing it with the people.
Hey,
That's the
share
worst.
it with me.
That's the worst thing. Like I've got probably 2,000 words on a doc on my laptop, and don't want anyone to read it because they might think this is terrible. And I've like put
Yeah.
a lot of effort into this, right? So
Isn't that the writer's conundrum?
it really is.
Lawrence Ferlinghetti, the what's that poem that we did that one time in Form 4? The one about constantly risking absurdity.
Absurdity.
Ah, yeah,
Yes. Very, very good. I love it. Check it out. Read it. If you ever want to know about the writer's conundrum. Constantly risking absurdity. It's about how poetry and poets, they're constantly on the balance.
And a tightrope.
Thin tightrope. I like the formation of that poem. Steering away from, again, literature, which is something that you do primarily focus on at school. Anything else other than that? Pick up any video games? Watching films? Big fan of Marvel, perhaps? Big franchise.
Have you had the time for that?
Marvel is no go for me.
Ah, I see that.
Super.
You get along with Elia. Elia has not watched a single film. She does not know
I've seen
half
Shang-Chi.
the characters.
She has
He hasn't even seen Shang-Chi.
I've seen the first Black Panther, Endgame, and one of the Thors.
Me too.
It's important which one.
It's important which one.
The Thor with his sister. Or
Oh,
his
that's the
aunt.
best one. Yes, that's the best one. First one's good. Second one, terrible. Third one, great. Fourth one, terrible. They have very, very
There's
bad.
four films.
Yeah, the Love and Thunder. Love and
That's not
Thunder.
one.
Yeah, I watched that one.
That one doesn't exist.
That one-
It
Well, obviously, we're talking a little bit of outside of school, you know. So, post-school routine. Is there anything that you stick to? You get home. What's the first thing on your mind?
Well, 1 year ago, I'd have answered this question very differently. My post-school routine is very often young child screaming related.
Oh,
that's fair.
I still try to play tennis at least one evening and football 1 or 2 times a week. I've had to kind of flip my routine. So I used to do kind of gym and running after school. Now I need to do it before school, so I can like get up at 5 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to go running because there's simply sometimes no time after school. My normal school routine: get home, do the baby stuff, cook some dinner, watch. Do you know what Jeopardy is?
Yes,
Yes.
I love Jeopardy.
Like
Love
there's
Jeopardy.
a legal channel. Well, obviously it's not legal, but it posts bootlegged copies of Jeopardy on YouTube. So watch it every night.
I'm a big fan of University Challenge.
That's too hard for me. Jeopardy, I feel kind of smart because I know probably
I'm-
60%. Yeah. Universe challenge. If you get 1, then you're doing well. And then I'll read, maybe play some PS4 if I have time.
Ooh,
Yeah.
any games?
You're not marking anything if you're not doing any school stuff, no?
Hey,
we're trying
to-
leave with the school
That's
stuff.
actually a good question. One thing I will say is I try to separate the two. So I tend to get here quite early, and I tend to work at my desk most of the time. I'm not in class, but that means that I try and leave roughly on time and not have to take too much home. Because I don't like mixing the two together. I like to have a clear division. Not always possible, but where possible.
Because it feels like you're bringing that stress home.
Yeah. PS4 stuff. So I actually was a bit of an. I used to really love video games when I was from the age of 8 or 9, all the
Gamer boy.
way up to
Gamer
I was going
boy.
to say a different descriptive word then, but I had to change at the last minute. I used to love FPS games, so I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike back in the day. But like the early before you were probably born, Counter-Strike. Keep going.
1.6?
Keep going.
Oh, that's regular Counter-Strike.
1.5, I think. Yeah. Then I played Battlefield on PS4. But the problem is now they're obviously online games that require you to be there. So if something happens, you can't pause it.
Yeah.
So I've actually not recently. I've heard of Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, that is one of the.
Yeah, so I kind of just do that to zone out a little bit because you can pause it. So
Yeah.
if my son is screaming, I can pause it and go attend to him and then come
Yeah.
back. So I've had to alter everything, even the games I like playing. So I'm going to use this as ammo when he gets old enough to understand how much he's disrupted my life.
Sounds like a healthy balance.
I mean, this is a perfect segue to talk about fatherhood, something that none of us here has experienced. So, hopefully.
We'll leave that hanging for a minute, just let the audience think on that. And then we'll continue.
Well, how has it been? Because obviously, you know, we have parents. I'm pretty sure you have parents.
I am a child. Are you also?
We're also children.
Yeah.
We've all been there eventually. At some point. At some point.
Yeah.
Where we've been a child. So, what is it like having a child? Because I know I've taken care of a few of my cousins, and they're hellspawn, and sometimes I just want to shake them violently.
We don't condone violence.
Yeah, not on this
Absolutely
podcast.
Nor do
yeah.
I, but I do sympathise with what Emma's just said. There's nothing that can prepare you for it. Simply that every spare minute you have is kind of just absorbed into this living, breathing thing, which is this big.
Oh.
But it's both amazing, but also confusing, but also stressful, all wrapped together. Been quite lucky that because he's big, like some of you saw him on Sports Day.
Yeah.
For his age, he's in I think the 97th percentile for length, so he's really, really long. So he just
It's a long
he's long. So he just eats heaps and then he just sleeps. So he's actually sleeping through the night, which means that
Sounds like a life.
So my life is pretty good if I can get kind of 6.5 hours, 7 hours sleep. Yeah.
That's a goal for many aspiring parents.
And some of you have some of you have messaged me, and other students have messaged me at like 1 a.m. expecting me to reply, and I'm like, I'm beyond the sleep at that point. I'm like, So yeah, but it's going amazingly. Amazingly in the sense that I'm coping. I'm getting by.
Such a cute baby.
Yeah, he's actually going to the UK this summer to meet grandparents, uncles, cousins, which will be interesting because he's got quite a short attention span, and 12 hours on a plane with him is going to make or break us. It's either going to set us up well for the next month, or it's going to mean I'm going to need some time away from him. But yeah, fatherhood it's nothing like I expected, but it's rewarding in ways I hadn't anticipated.
Yes, it's good. It's good to hear.
Okay, let's look towards occupation. Was English teacher always the aspiration? Was this?
No.
In the sense that when I finish
What do
university,
you mean? Of course not.
Listen, people change their what they want to do as they do.
Okay.
and also, you're all having this question thrown at you, what do you want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
PGP, just teachers, conversations with parents, I guess. I didn't know. Went to university, I did history and English, and I was thinking, maybe I'll be a writer, maybe I'll be a journalist, Got towards the end of university, and both of my parents worked within the NHS. And near me there is a kind of psychiatric hospital, which deals with a whole range of different I guess, mental issues. And I thought, see how it kind of ends up. I'll go and work here, see how it goes, with the intention of becoming qualified and maybe being something like an occupational therapist or something like that. I did 18 months, and it was really rewarding, and I did like learning about mental health and the different issues people face. However, I just simply wasn't old enough to deal with it. But I did like, it just, without going into too much detail, it was very, the high highs were great, the low lows were pretty rough. And I was dealing with young men, who weren't of a dissimilar age to me, which sometimes worked brilliantly, sometimes was,
As a gap.
very much so. So at the end of this process, I kind of thought, well, I like working with people and kind of figuring out why people potentially behave a certain way or make certain decisions. And I thought, well, education, you're kind of working with people, and in particular young people all day, and often they don't always make logical decisions. More polite disclaimer. So I kind of just thought, this is I'm going to go down, and kind of been to university a few times since then, and here we are. Yeah, having this conversation in Hong Kong. I never even thought I'd be in Hong Kong. So kind of not this length of time, so I've been here 8 years now.
Half of our lives.
So I went backpacking for a year after I worked at this place. I was like, I was just frazzled. So basically everything I owned, I sold, and I was like, I'm just going to book a one-way plane ticket, flew into Bangkok, Thailand, and just kind of went from there. And funnily enough, I spent 7 weeks in mainland China, and I knew that I was flying out of Hong Kong to fly to Australia. And it just so happened that some people I met in Vietnam were living in Hong Kong, and I dropped them a message saying, hey, I'm going to be 72 hours in Hong Kong, let's grab some food, whatever, socialise. And then the long weekend we had was just like really cool. They showed me things which you have to have been in Hong Kong a while to do. So it kind of showed me not just the Peak, or not just Soho. So I kind of saw that side of Hong Kong. I was like, this is a really cool place. So then,
like less of the touristic.
yeah, the people who are new here had been here kind of like 18 months at that point, so they'd kind of been and done the touristy stuff and wanted to show me other stuff. So, and then here I am. I thought I'd stay for a year, go back home, maybe move to London, do what everyone else does, and here I am.
We're glad you are here.
Yeah.
You are an amazing head of year. I'm not even. It's amazing the work that you do.
I don't know whether you're being facetious or not, but
Most definitely.
Don't say better than our last head of year.
Who was our last head of year?
Let's.
Miss Icalo.
Oh no, I love Miss Lowe. Miss Lowe was great. Miss Lowe was
Sorry.
Was she here last year?
No. Before his predecessor.
Okay, other teachers with the conversation with the topic of other teachers.
Oh.
Who is your work bestie? Obviously, your wife is excluded from this conversation.
I wouldn't have chosen her anyway, but. So, aside from Mr. Pierre, it would have to be bestie. Okay.
You can choose one
He's
from
like,
each department.
I can knock out this whole essay.
Like, you
Just
don't-
the term
you
bestie
don't-
is throwing me a little bit.
You don't have to choose like one definite person. Like if you could choose one person from like PE, science, like I'm talking about intra-department.
Interdepartmental
Yeah, so you can
relationships.
exactly.
That's what I'm-
Yeah, so other departments.
I get on well with Mr. Stanley.
Yeah.
The most?
I probably see the most of him
Okay.
for two reasons. One, he's a former art tutor. We used to drive in together when I lived on the Hong Kong island, and he was on crutches at the time.
Oh,
If you remember. So I used to
think
drive
that's the
in.
time. Was it the time when he fell through the drain?
I don't know how he did it now. It might have been football, I think.
Because Mr. Stanley has like a reoccurring like injury, crutches use. So like sometimes it's either because there was one time I think he broke his ankle because he fell through a drain at school.
Putting on some blast.
No, but I love Mr. Stanley the bits. He's great fun. He's a very nice guy. Very funny.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
good sense of humor.
Very
Yeah, and we have very similar interests. Both kind of watch a lot of sport. He used to play sport before his knee decided he didn't want to work anymore. So, so probably he's the person just simply because I see him a lot as a tutor. I see him every day as a tutor, and we've kind of hung out a bit outside of work as well. We've been to socialise and kind of done different things.
Interesting.
Any fun stories?
I think there's a story about.
Oh
You
no, not
laughed at it.
this! Not
Let's
this!
tell everyone about this story.
Oh my. Disclaimer, guys, I feel so bad about this. I felt so terrible. So when
Is
you,
this a story related to me?
Yes, it was this when we had that PGP
Oh.
and you told us that story about how you broke your back, and I laughed. No, it's because I didn't even know like it was. I laughed before we got to the part where he said he broke his back. Okay, I heard I fell out of a tree and I'm imagining like Mr. McVeigh shrank down to about like 5'6" size and him going woo! So that's the image that made me laugh and I thought it was going to lead to and I broke my arm. But no, he whips out the Uno reverse card and he hits me with the I broke my back. They didn't know I was going to walk again and then everyone looked at me and was just like,
Emma.
oh, why did you laugh? And I was like, I didn't know.
I think you were still laughing when I said I broke
Yeah.
my
I think you will.
Okay, because I was still.
You laughed more.
I think you did.
Hey, this is lies and slander. I will sue you all for defamation.
and
Okay, you
he
won't
said-
sue
You
me.
signed a waiver.
He said he was paralyzed for 3 to 4, or maybe 3 weeks. 8 weeks.
No, not 8 weeks. It was a couple of weeks. Yeah, I couldn't I didn't really feel my legs.
Like he had to, he couldn't go to the bathroom alone, and I think he laughed.
I
at
think
that.
I didn't laugh at that.
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
I don't know. Just putting things out there.
Yeah, guys, I'm a terrible person.
Awful.
I'm so awful. I like to laugh at other people's misery. Let's move from this topic because it's making me sad because I feel mean. let's just for questions for everyone. If you could have one person, any person in the entire world to narrate your life, documentary style. It could be an actor, it could be a celebrity, it could be a classmate, it could be a teacher at the school. Any single person, just who would it be and why?
I'm gonna flip this over to you. You go first.
Me personally, big fan of nature documentaries, so I have to go with my absolute
Sir
beloved
David?
Sir David
Sir
Attenborough.
David!
You know? It's just, I feel like I've got a lot of strange, peculiar behaviors. My friends can attest. Mr. McVeigh probably can attest as well. And so I feel like just being observed like some strange creature in an environment would just be interesting for me. Yeah. Especially if I could watch it back and be like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
What about you, Fred?
Honestly, I was gonna say Sir David, but Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's a good
The
voice.
classic.
Have you heard that man's voice?
The classic.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
can
good
just
voice.
imagine him
Yeah.
talking about all the times I brought my hoodie to school and got scolded at. Like this.
I can imagine Sir David after, and here we see France walking into the gate once more with his Air Jordan. I wonder what Mr. McVeigh will have to say today.
I don't wear it anymore.
It doesn't.
It's gone.
New leaf. March has been a good month.
We'll leave the best for last.
Even though we have 7 days.
Skylar, who would you? Who?
I'm not very like. I don't really like Australians. I'm not very fond.
I'm sorry. Let him defend himself.
I am not fond of Australians, but I would really like for Steve Irwin to narrate my life.
Can I ask why? Well, I mean, not Steve Irwin, he's a great guy. Why? What have you got against Australia?
Australia? I mean, there's nothing like
They're strange.
particularly interesting.
No, I just said they're strange. Australians, they scare me.
Strange.
They
I
scare
think
me
strange is
personally
the word.
because we all know an Australian quite personally.
No,
We love Leo, but
I
he is a very strange individual. He sends us some very strange
No,
comments.
it's not that I dislike them. Just like
This
there's
is-
nothing I like about them.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
let's
you
move
just
on.
have to work.
Okay.
I feel like you know who Leo would have the the narrator for Love. Because I'm thinking like personality wise and Elliot wise, I'm thinking the best narrator would be the narrator for Love Island UK.
Oh.
Ian, what's his name? What is his? I'm going to search this up real quick if the school Wi-Fi will let me. His name is like Ian Hitch something, I think. No, I'm not Ian Hitchcock. That's the guy from Smosh.
Irrespective of the name, why? Why?
Yeah.
Because
Why do you-
Elia loves Love Island. Elia loves
Really?
Love
I
Island so much.
much.
And as well as the fact
Would you see me participating on Love Island?
No, I just see you as one of those like it's either that or someone else who narrates a reality TV show.
Okay.
It's because you have so much going on in your life. Like
That's true.
I'll turn around for like 2 seconds and then I'll turn back and I'll go, "Hey Leah, what happened in those 2 seconds?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, like so 3 people got in a car crash that I know of." And then my mom decided to take me to Ocean Park, and then after I went to Ocean Park, I went to a concert. I'd be like, "How did you do that in 2 seconds?"
Yeah.
Elia's life could be a reality show, honestly.
Okay, what's
Not necessarily a good thing.
We don't know.
okay?
We are running low on time.
Mr.
Ian Sterling. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay, Mr. McVeigh, what about you?
Finally,
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
You'll know who he is.
I know who he is.
I'm trying. Let me pull up a picture.
He wrote
He was there.
a book called Kitchen Confidentials, which was.
Oh!
Really good,
Oh!
but also, but he's perhaps more famous for his travel docs he does, but he just looks at things from a really interesting way, and he's I mean, I wish I could have his life.
That or I'd have Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
He's like the counterpart.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's an AI generated audio, but there's this thing that's been going around of him saying like, and I met up with a criminal link in the northern of
Yeah.
to find out to make an assault on a criminal drug ring. I don't know. I just think it'd be very very interesting, as well as like he's got a very good shouting voice.
Yeah.
And I do have a lot of dumb things. Okay, last final question I think we should do, which is a nice fun one, and it gives our watchers, listeners, a little bit of a recommendation. One movie that you could recommend at this very moment. What has something that you've watched, seen, recently. It could be an old film, it could be one that you recently saw in the cinemas. Would you recommend to our dear people?
Me or everyone?
Yeah.
Everyone. You.
Mostly
everyone.
you,
Yeah.
Have you
Maybe.
seen the film called Coda?
Coda?
Coda. Oh, a child of deaf
Yeah.
parent or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So not typically a film I would have selected, but it's the story. Basically, it's a girl who is an amazing singer, and she has fully functioning hearing. Both her parents and her elder brother are all deaf, so she can only communicate to them through sign language. But she kind of gets taken under the wing of this music teacher who encourages her to sing and apply for this great music school. But obviously, her parents can't appreciate her skill, and they need her to kind of help get through life because she can communicate with everyone else because she can hear. And it's just I just found it quite a touching film, to be honest.
It's a very good movie.
I typically don't get moved by films too much, but I thought, wow, that was like a really good story. I would recommend everyone to watch it.
Any recommendations from you guys?
Just funny one. White chicks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, not on
We-
this podcast.
We after
That's so
Saturday,
weird.
me and my friends, we rewatched the film and we realized how, I would say, how it aged
Raunchy.
like milk. It aged like milk. Some
Not
of
like-
the jokes in this day and age would not pass. But
Definitely.
it is very, very entertaining. Very entertaining movie. The era of early 2000 films, like rom-coms, comedy films, is probably like a golden spot if you want like a good laugh, but also like a moment of like, ooh.
I'd say most of those
Ooh.
aren't acceptable now. So many of them. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking so many of those comedy films
Yeah.
which are just
Yeah.
like super bad.
A lot of
Great.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all of the Adam Sandler films.
Oh,
Of course.
Okay, like the Grown Ups franchise. The two films.
Very good.
Very, very good.
Very good.
Skylar, any movie?
On mentioning Adam Sandler, Click.
Oh
Click by Adam Sandler. That was a
This is
really
a good one.
He had a remote control where he could control, well, literally
no!
everything, right?
Everything. Yeah.
And I remember one scene that's like imprinted into my head where he paused his boss, and then he got on top of his desk, pulled down his pants, farted in his face, sat back down and pressed play, and the story unfolded.
What about you, friends?
honestly, I can't think of a movie that is like my favorite, but I can say a show that has moved me till this day. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah.
It's one
That
of
is a
the
solid show.
most amazing shows ever made.
Animated.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
the ending, it's like most endings to movies and shows, you kind of like feel empty, you kind of want more, right?
Yeah.
But the ending to that show is so
Just
perfect.
Ending.
Yeah, but we don't talk about Legend of Korra.
No,
No,
that
no.
doesn't exist.
No. My film, because obviously I'm doing EE, so I'm watching a lot of movies, because that's what I'm studying for my EE. And one that I've currently watched that I love the most is Triangle of Sadness.
Oh.
It's a very, very good movie where a bunch of rich people, they're on a yacht, right? And unfortunately there's a storm, and so they crash land on an island, right? And so by crash land, they crash, they crash on an island. They end up on an island.
A shipwreck.
Right,
A
shipwreck, there we go, that's the word.
English teacher.
Yeah, they shipwrecked on an island, and the entire power dynamic is flipped because obviously the people who survived are like these ultra rich people, and then the one person who ends up becoming the leader was the toilet cleaner on the boat. And the reason why I love this film is because the toilet cleaner who ends up becoming like the captain of the island and their survival group is played by a Filipino lead. And it is the most entertaining thing to
It's
hear
so-
a Filipino woman and her accent, because it just reminds me so much of my mother, and it
Yeah,
sounds so
yeah,
much of like what
honestly.
she'd say to me, because it's like, you're not using your brain, anak, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and it's a very, very entertaining film, very, very good movie.
And with all of that,
I guess that ties it off.
Do you have any final words to wait? No, we're not gonna kill you.
final word.
Final
Do you
word.
have any final thoughts?
Final
to share
thoughts?
to our audience?
Thoughts
For
in
the
regards
students?
to what?
For the students
just
here, or
any advice in
anything.
you
general.
wanna throw some shade at some teacher or
Yeah, this is your moment to publicly
Don't have time.
call out any member of staff in particular.
I don't need to call anyone out. All I would say is just, particular for Form 5, I guess, just roll with the punches. I mean,
No.
everything will figure itself out in the end. Don't get,
Peace and love, guys.
yeah, take it
Peace
easy.
and love.
If you had to put me on the spot, then I was not expecting that. that was not on the pre-prescribed questions, I'll tell you.
There was no prescribed questions.
One question.
No, absolutely. That's
Zero.
why and my laptop hasn't been on.
This is
there.
for research. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
One.
3, 2, 1. Hey.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Ube.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Mr.